I won't forget the day Pokemon Diamond and Pearl were announced. Those moments of my life were interesting in the way that I wasn't excited. I've never been excited for something as much as this game. One of the most anticipated games I ever had when I was a young kid. I was really into Pokemon from Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Ruby and Sapphire. Those games, and Emerald. Those games, I was playing those games during the time. I was watching the shows during the time. But Diamond and Pearl were the first Pokemon games that I was really, really excited for. Not only because it's brand new Pokemon, but because I was at the age of when my older cousins were when Fire Red came out. They were like very early teens. And Diamond and Pearl was for me to what they were with for Fire Red or Ruby and Sapphire. The games themselves just really got me excited, and I couldn't wait to play them. So the first game I got was Pokemon Pearl, and the reason why is because I really loved Palkia's design, and just pearls look pretty in my opinion. I prefer pearls over diamonds, I guess, when I was younger. But I did end up playing Pokemon Diamond. And for some reason, even though Pokemon Pearl and Diamond were literally the exact same game, my second run through with Pokemon Diamond, for some reason, stuck out much more than with Pokemon Pearl. And I'm not sure why. I can only think that because the first run was just enjoying the game as it's supposed to, and then the second run I felt much more different. I was paying attention more to the actual story, and I was paying attention to the actual Pokemon themselves, and I was thinking of what they represented. For some reason, Pokemon Diamond was the game that kind of, in a way, opened me up a little bit more. And so the reason why I'm making this image is because I had this non-stop vision, in a way, of how it would look like for a person to walk up Spear Pillar to see this gigantic deity, this time god creator, for the first time ever, in the longest time. In the game, he's a legend in the game, hence legendary Pokemon. But for some reason, just the thought of seeing this giant creature was insane to me. Just like, how would it be if I were walking up those steps in this giant abandoned ancient ruins place that has been reawakened in a way where the time god comes back. And that's what I kind of wanted to capture in this. That vision of when I was a young kid, seeing this for the first time in, I guess, in how it would be in a real way. And I wanted to capture that. And I think I haven't finished this piece yet, but I think I'm going in the right direction. So in this particular moment, you're seeing me add the color, or add some color. The reason I add this color is so that I can use the saturation for the color and then use that in the grayscale that you'll be seeing later on. So this really doesn't matter, the color. It's just the brightness that I'm really looking for. Just how bright the yellows are going to be, how bright the blues are going to be, the red, and the steel outline for Dialga. After that, I'll be putting this in grayscale and change the values in there. But I'm still, as you can see, molding a lot of the stuff. Still sketching some things out and then molding them in. Just so I can... I'm basically kind of rendering a little bit. You don't want to render so much because this is going to be painted over. Well, for me, in my case, I'm going to be painting over this again a couple times. Just to get the shading and the lighting the way I want it to be. And then the complexity of this chess piece really got me. I was spending a lot of time in this. It's quite difficult, even though it was, even though I was using a mirrored, I would copy one side for the other side. It was still a little difficult. You can see now this is the part where I finally did the grayscaling. All I did was just make one of those adjustment layers and just brought down all the coloring down with the little slider. That was basically it. And then I merged the adjustment layer down with the image. That's how I got the grayscale. And once I saw that, you know, the grayscale, I would see how the colors I chose worked out. After that, you see me here. I decided that some things needed to be more darker, some things needed to be a little lighter. And here I am again editing the chess piece. The main thing was that diamond piece in the center. I was trying to get everything aligned with the diamond in the center. And then the diamond itself, the texture, I wasn't sure what kind of texture I wanted, so I left it alone every now and again, but I did want it to be, of course, one of the focuses. So I kind of made like a basic texture that I have now, and hopefully once I start putting in the color, the actual main color, I have decided on the texture that I think would be best. But also those giant, I don't even know what those things are. I don't know, I don't want to call them fins. Those giant things on his butt. This like giant steel crown he has on his butt. I don't know how you think of that design, but like, oh, let's put these giant steel, I don't even know what they're called, giant flaps on his back that I have no idea what they do, you know. They're pretty cool. And then these like giant steel toes. They're freaking awesome. And those weird like ankle bracelets, they're, I don't know, it's just, that looks pretty damn cool. And probably my favorite part of the Dialga design is those weird markings of light on his neck and his I want to say down his arms, I guess, or his legs, down his legs. Those are so cool. He has like that. He has like an avatar piece that comes down from his head down to his face, and on the side of his head too. He's got those little avatar markings that I really like that. And then, of course, following the lore of Pokemon in the Sinnoh region are the little lake trios. Here, I think this is okay. So yeah, that's Mesprit, and then Azaleaf on the left, and then Yuxi on the right. I really wanted to put those little dudes in there because they're so adorable, you know. They're just like little fat alien babies. They literally look like the Greys, the alien Greys, with just a little cuteness, more cuteness. It's like a Grey and a Celebi had sex, and then these things were born, you know. That's, I don't know. Maybe they'd be a little bit more, maybe some Mew, you know. Maybe Mew and Celebi had sex, and then that baby had sex with the Grey, and then that's how the Lick Trio were born, you know? That creature who, the Grey and the Mew Celebi baby had sex and had triplets. That's what would the Lick Trio be. Little Grey alien babies that have the power to summon gods. In this case, Dialga. They could also summon Palkia and Giratina, but the lore is kind of weird on that, you know, because the original game, they just summoned one of them, and then in the Pokemon Platinum, they summoned both of them, and then Giratina wakes up and she's like, what the fuck are you doing, you know? But Yeah, these little dudes, they were fun to paint. Their hands are freaking weird, man. They don't got elbows, so I kind of had to give them this curvature. I still want to work on the little curvature for the arms. The hands they have are. I'm trying. I was trying not to make them look like lobster hands, man. They got these little lobster claws, like they look funny, and I try to. I want to make sure. Well, I found this out while I was painting. Like I want to make sure they don't look like lobster hands. So I want to go back and edit those a little bit more maybe in the final painting process. But you don't want to focus on so much. You just see like as you go along, you'll point things out. You'll see things like, oh, you know what, this should not look like this, or this should change a little bit more like that. You'll see them as you go along, and don't focus on it so much. Just put it as a mental note. And even if you forget, you'll find it again. Trust me. There's sometimes you'll remember because it's funny, like something funny or something annoying. Like just the lobster hands are annoying and funny, so I'm definitely not gonna forget about the lobster hands. That was one of the focuses for these little guys. The good thing is like they're pretty far away or pretty small, so it won't be that big of a problem. As you can see right now, you know, like I'm super close up in there and trying to get a little bit of detail going on, getting the eyes, the little gems, the tail. So this is like the main subject isn't going to be them, it's Dialga, so you just got to make sure that they don't look completely weird. You know, you don't want them like if I gave Mesprit here like buff hands, and then I gave Azaleaf here like a giant head bigger than it should be, like that's obviously gonna look weird, you know. Like why is his head so big compared to Yuxi and Mesprit, you know? That'd be like an eyesore. So you just make sure everything's a little bit more consistent so things don't look so weird. Here I go back to the pillars. I go back and forth for the pillars, man, because I quit and I'm like, alright, you know what, let's focus on something else. And then I come back and damn, man, I kept having so many problems. I'm not gonna lie, I deleted like an extra 3 hours of footage of me trying to figure out how to make these pillars. I was looking at a bunch of pillars of references. I was looking at Greek mythology, the Romans, and just current pillars too, like just stone pillars that were broken or have been busted open. You'll see like the steel bars coming through them. I was looking at those and I came to the idea like, oh, maybe if I drew those broken pieces individually, I'll get a better sense. And damn, I was so wrong. You can see me here like drawing the lines, drawing lines going in there. And then I'm like, you know what if I make like giant cracks going through them? And damn, man, I mean, it was kind of looking a little okay, but I'm like, man, this is taking way too long. And so I went back to texturing them until I figured out something else. See me here texturing things, and just the top parts, those broken pieces, because this is an ancient ruins location that hasn't been used in forever. And so a lot of the stuff is either broken or busted. So a lot of the pillars are broken on the floor, and I really wanted to put those broken pieces there. So you can see here, like this pillar that I'm working on has like this broken top piece gone. Some of them are toppled over, and I really like that. But another problem that I really had is from not just the pillars, but those broken edges. Trying to figure out how to make these broken edges look broken. As you can see now, there's just a plain old color, and like I said, I have so much more footage that I didn't want to put in here because this video is already long enough. I didn't want to put that in there, but I just want to let you guys know that this something that you never done is obviously going to take longer than you expect it to. Here's when I start editing this this only top piece here, the only pyramid piece that I had here. I only wanted to make one because I kind of made it to the I didn't want the canvas so tall, the width to be so high up. So I only made one, so I wouldn't have to. I don't know if that makes sense. Just I didn't want so many pyramids in my scene, because then that's gonna kind of angle things a little weird, I think. So I just made one. I don't know why I just made one. I should have just kind of broken it, but I felt like I needed one just so the viewer knows how this place should look like and has looked like, how it looked like before. You know, like, oh look, there's one pillar that's been intact. All of the other ones are broken, toppled over and stuff. And so like the viewer knows, like, oh man, this is an old place. That's what I was kind of thinking in my head. And that's how the image is, you know. If you play the game, when you go to this location in game, you see how ancient and how ruined it is. And so here I go again, inside of the broken pieces. I have this idea of like, maybe I'll draw or paint the edges in, and then shade them inwards, or shade the light in them. And it was kind of working. I really like the beginning part of this area. I think it was coming out pretty nice. I was trying to blend stuff here, trying to see how it worked, trying to blend the towers into the cracks, or I mean, not the towers, the pillars into the cracks. But I wasn't liking it at the end. Like once I did one side, I'm like, you know what, this is not working. So I'm trying here to make things work, trying to add some more texture. I tried working on the other side, see how that would be, and like I'm just constantly thinking and painting, you know. This is the crazy thing about painting an image, you know. It's like you're seeing a mind at work trying to solve a problem. It's like a baby trying to put shapes in the correct area, you know, like those toys the kids would grab and try to fit a square inside the square hole, and a circle in a circle hole. That's basically what's going on here. At least, I mean, I'm not a professional, that's what I think. And then once I started putting in these white goofy areas, it's like I got this idea. I'm like, wait, these are broken pillars, so I'm thinking of broken stuff. I'm thinking of broken rocks, broken everything. And so I got this texture brush that I have here, which is free, by the way. All these brushes that I'm using right now in this image, or yeah, on this image, will be free, that I made from broken rocks. I used stones, I used diamonds, crystals, and I made those into brushes. I grabbed the images, made the selection, and then edited the selection to make the brush. That's how I made these brushes that you see me using. And then there was this big thing that I discovered that I made a complete fuck up. The original, I wanted to keep this close to the original, the origin of this image. I wanted to keep it like how it is in the game. And originally, I made the giant black bars, you know, big when they should have been small, and the white bars should have been bigger. And so you just saw me repaint the whole thing over again, erasing the textures that I originally made. Like I said, I did spend a lot of damn time on these pillars, and I think that the work paid off, in my opinion. And you see me here re-editing everything again, with the lighting and the texture. And then you see me here editing that top pillar again. But these white pieces, I got this idea of like, I don't even know how I got the idea, man. I just thought of putting these white pieces down, right? And then I'd grab a texture brush and paint over those white pieces. I'd lock the layers, or lock the pixels of the white pieces, and then paint over that. And then once I was done or satisfied with my pillars, I started thinking
on how I was gonna finish up the portal in the background. I wasn't as concerned as the actual background because the portal was going to be taking much more of the space, and the lake trails, I think I'd consider them as part of the background already. I do want to make them a little bit more shiny, but I don't want to take away so much from Dialga. So that's why I'll be making the portal as shiny as Dialga, and then have a little bit of sparkle kind of essence for the lake trio. And the way I did the background is I'd selected around Dialga and then fill that area in so I don't have to mess around with the actual body of Dialga and the pillars around there. So once I selected the background, I fill that in with the basic color that just would help me out. And then once I filled in that basic color, I then started thinking in my head how much shine do I want this to be, and how much area of effect will the shine have. So here I'm playing around with the misty kind of portal. I didn't really like it, and this is when I decided to use circles, kind of the basic portal that you'd see. It's also the same ones. Like I said, I still want to stick to the original design that they use for Dialga, and some of the portals they use are just basic circles. And so in this one, I locked the layer pixels on the smaller circle edges, blocking the layers of the white circles. I'm sorry, the layer pixels of the white circles. I then duplicated it, and on the bottom layer I used a Gaussian blur on that, so then that way I still have the original lines on top and then the blurry lines on the bottom. Here I'm just editing, trying to make things look cool, and then I just used the regular diamond brush to make those black lines going inwards. I'm still deciding on what I actually want to do for those rim layers, or I mean those rims of the portal. And yeah, that's basically all I did for the grayscale. And here I just want to add a little tiny touch of color. This is the eye. I finally painted inside the eye. So I beg of you, please stick around for the final end. And like I said, all of this will be available on my Patreon. Thank you.